Right, I'm just going to clean up excuse me, the Christmas tree, and then you need to grease up the bearing liner, put the bearing in. There's a washer that goes on here, and then we can start cleaning our gears up and right, start building the gearbox. So what I'm going to do is just get a wire brush and give all in between every single gear a good scrubbing. And what I'm also going to do as well, what I do is I'll get a knife and I'll clean up literally everywhere I can get the knife into. Knife blade, Stanley blade's perfect for that. What we're looking for as well is any chips out the gears. This gearbox is fine. I'll show you the problem that I've seen on 1 and 2. It looks like it's been slightly damaged by the sliding dog having rough faces on it, but you know, what are you expecting? Perfect second-hand stuff, Lambretta. Yeah, it'll be a first, won't it? So if I go and grab a knife blade, and I'm going to just clean everywhere I can get in. I mean, it's only old grease, etc. I've got a parts washer, but I don't think you can beat getting in and cleaning everywhere, you know, as you're studying it. Personally speaking, again, there's a new bearing going into the the Christmas tree, and yeah, I'm quite looking forward to hearing this engine run now. Starting to come together, isn't it? So there's cleaning again inside there, all the grease out, the old grease, and making sure I clean in between each tooth, making sure there's no metal filings, etc. I'll get my blade. I'll cut away from this because this is quite boring. It's time consuming, but I'm going through every single gear, making sure they're all spotless, cleaning them all up. So every tooth, every gear in between, making sure there's no residue of any metal and no rough surfaces as well, because we want our gears to mesh nice and start working correctly from day one. So I'll just cut out of that and I'll show you when I've done that. Right on cue, the lawnmowers get kicking in, so I apologise for the background noise, but as you can see, I've cleaned up. I'm still getting bits of dirt off myself when I'm picking it up, so, but I've cleaned up the Christmas tree. 1 mil shim on there. What we need now is to put some nice lubrication, grease up that spline, and then we need to break out our bearing. I'm just trying to see what make that is. I'm not sure what make that bearing is, but again, I'm just packing the bearing out with a bit of grease. You've got to be careful, don't overpack this, and hopefully when it gets going the oil gets in there anyway from the gearbox. Right, so we've got our bearing greased up. We put our Christmas tree in, and there we go. I'm going to actually just put some, take that back off again, because this is the problem when it gets stuck with too much grease in. I just need to grease the lining again, and our Christmas tree's in and spinning nice and freely. Put some grease just on there where it goes through the bearing. Spinning lovely, that is what it should do on a new bearing anyway. And then I'm going to start cleaning up 4th gear first. 4th gear is mint. Again, as I've said to you on previous videos, you're looking for any damage in between, that the bearing or I should say the face of the gears, as it sits nice on the lay shaft, which this one does. Spins nicely. There's not tons of play in it. So we're looking for any chips on here on the leading edges, which they look fine. So all I've got to do is clean this one up like I did with the Christmas tree, and then I'll stick it in, so I'll cut back in again when I clean that up. So you can see the condition of it, it's absolutely like new. So right, another recommendation is using some new gearbox oil. Don't use old rubbish, and just prove it's new. Not that I've got nothing to prove. Just use the knife. Get it open. What I'm going to do tonight is I'll soak the the clutch plates in oil overnight. But what I'm going to do is just put a little drop of oil in the lid, fill the lid up, because what we need to do is just run some oil on any exposed metal surfaces. So I'll dip my finger in there and just coat the gear all in between, all around. I usually got a brush for this, but I can't find it. It's probably looking me right in the eye, but again, where the gears mate, all in all the teeth. When the gears mesh, they don't actually go all the way in. There's a little gap in there for expansion and to collect dirt to stop them wearing out. I can actually dip that in slightly, that's it. As I said before, you want the boss to come to you on the first one, so flat side out, and again make sure that there's loads and loads of oil on there. Spin that freely. The gears inside with the Christmas tree should be level, which that's perfect. So I'm just going to do third gear now, clean third gear up, and I'll cut back in again. And again, gear number 3, like new again. With the gears now, you need the oil ways going towards the rear hub. When the gears join, the oil ways which lubricate between the gears, these slits, you want them facing each other, apart from the first or fourth gear as it is facing you on the highest point. So again, we'll put some oil on all the points that touch the oil ways. The ideal thing would be just to dip them in an oil bath, to be honest, but because I've got the engine on each side, I don't want all the gearbox oil just falling out on the floor. It's not exactly cheap stuff, this stuff now. So we'll turn the gear oil both sides, all in the crevices of the gears. So I don't want a dry gear again. And again, through all the gears. I say it will run, so it's just, don't want metal touching metal if you can help it. It should be dampened with some oil. That's fine, that's all the way around. So as I say, the cutouts towards the rear hub, just give it a bit of a turn, and again that's level. It looks like that's going to be a really nice gearbox actually. So I'm going to do third gear now, and I'll cut back in again. And third gear's cleaned up. As I say, you won't believe the amount of dirt that's come off of these gears just cleaning them up. So again, grease everywhere, or put oil. Oil's better because that's what you're going to be relying on for lubrication. As I say, all over the gears, smother it in the oil ways, on the tops where the gears run on the lay shaft, and then in between all the cogs themselves. If nothing else, it will just stop it rusting before it's buttoned up, which will be a little while yet, because I'll be showing you how to build the side casing up with the kickstart mechanism, clutch mechanism, etc. Oil breather, filler parts. Again, like I say, just keep, oh, don't spill it all, just keep nice and oiled up. And again, oil ways to the rear hub, spin that around, still nicely level. As I say, it'd be a really good gearbox, this one, so nice and even. Right, so I'm just going to do gear number 1 and then I'll cut back in again. Right, done number 4, and again that just needs greasing up, oiling up, and the always filling with oil again. All around the teeth and in the gears themselves, or the teeth themselves, because that's a gear, and their teeth. I say nicely oiled up, and the other side as well. I'll just do the gears, the teeth even, I keep calling them gears. That's nice. So we've got no dry points on our gear itself. What we also, or why we clean it I should say, is any little bits of dust and dirt, and that'll show you what come off the gears themselves, little bits of iron filings, and what they act as, they act like sandpaper when they're revolving. So it's always better to just take 10 minutes like I've done, and you just feel that slightly high, and that's fine. That's absolutely brilliant. So what I need to do now is, with my gearbox end plate, just give that a wipe again, because it's been off and on a few times. I don't want no grease anywhere, no oil to go in anywhere it shouldn't be, and especially no grit. So again, I'm just wiping it down, making sure it's nice and clean. And I've just realised I haven't got the pawls in, so I need to put them in. So again, what we're going to do before I find them is just take that bearing off and its shim, and put some grease on them again. So grease on the shim, both sides, and put that back on the lay shaft, and just re-grease the bearing. Don't have to go too mad with it. Put that back on the lay shaft, and I just need the 2 pawls that go in there, so I'll cut away and find them. I know where they are anyway. Right, unlike the last time I did this video, I'm going to put the shim in, but we're going to give it a wipe first, and then I'm going to use grease on the shim to hold it in place while we put the gearbox end plate on. So put a dab of grease on that. You can put it on both sides if you want, but it's really the inside edge, so it sticks on there. Put some grease on here where it goes through the bearing, and I'm going to put some grease on the gearbox end plate, the bearing liner that you saw me change on a different video when we were building this engine, and just on the inside of the gear cluster bearing for your clutch. that's ready now to go on. But I wiped all the grease off, so we'll stick it on. Make sure both our one stayed in the engine and one's on the gearbox end plate, so it's no big deal. And that should go on really nicely and smooth like it's doing. Give it a tap. What I find, turning the engine gearbox helps as well. It just helps locate it. And this is a panel hammer, so I'm not using a ton of weight on it, as you can see.